Welcome to midweek. We were kind of joking, thinking that maybe we ought to call this Revelation Update. What chapter of Revelation do you think we're in? I think we may be headed towards chapter 19. Don't know, but man, it's crazy out there. Wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes, pestilence, viruses. Well, let's get down to something serious. That is serious. I wonder where we are in the book of Revelation. Well, today we're going to be dealing with some things not on the book of Revelation. Actually, we'll come back to that in a little while. But I have some friends here today. Welcome, guys.
Nice to be here.
Yeah. So we're doing midweek conversations because those are incredible. And man, you guys are rock stars. I got to tell you, I cannot believe how your ministry has, kind of in some ways just started. So for those of you who don't know, Caleb Ibaniski works with high school students, and Jonathan works with middle school students, and both of you with the families. Mm-hmm. And so how long have you officially kind of been in your role? Caleb, how long have you been here?
I believe it's just over 2 months. If it's February or March, I've lost track of time, honestly.
2 or 3?
I've been with Thrive sinst 2007.
Yeah.
But as the youth pastor, it's been like March or something like that.
And Jonathan?
I have been officially part of Fusion in my position since September. So 9 months?
So if you think about it, it's like, and both of you have this incredible background. You've, worked with students for 2007, and Jonathan, you started working with students when you were age of 3, I think. And so you were mentoring high school students at 3. So you've been at it for a long time.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you kind of officially start, and then boom, you get COVID. Then, to complicate factors, as if that wasn't enough, we tragically have a death with George Floyd, and that has launched, well, we all know, riots. Yeah. But not just that, probably within all of us, a lot of relational and kind of corporate and cultural tension. Yeah. So it's a huge question, but what has it been like to launch your ministry in February, and then all of a sudden, everything that you've known for 10 years in a ministry just gets thrown out the door, and you get to reinvent everything? Mm-hmm. You ever had those moments where it's like, I think I want to be a barista? What's it been like?
It's been good but challenging. It's made us really put our heads together and get creative, because youth ministry with students and families is so relational and so like in-person relational. And so all of a sudden you take that out and you're like, what do we do now? And so it's been really cool to see how our leaders have not just been like, well, we can't be in person, so we'll just wait and kind of just ride it out. That's completely opposite of what we've seen, which has been a huge thing. We've seen leaders be so much more intentional, and that's really gone a long way, I think.
Go ahead.
For me, I think
what's it
it's
been like?
Jumping in. I mean, it's been a joy, honestly, like starting off and just the chaos. But there's been multiple moments where in the midst of those stressful moments, like I know I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And it just feels so good to be doing ministry and figuring this out. And I think there's been incredible grace I appreciate from you, just recognizing that no one has the answer right now. Like we're getting back down to the basics of youth ministry, of contact work, relationship. Yeah. And from there, God is taking it to some pretty cool places.
Yeah. Well, if you can say it's been a joy facing what we've all just been facing, man, when things get back to, something where it's kind of have some order, and you're going to be like walking on water.
Yeah, that's right.
I've appreciated so much. Jonathan, you'd mentioned that I was talking with a group of pastors the other day, and one guy said, it's going to be a hard thing coming back from my sabbatical. And I was like, what's sabbatical? And he goes, well, I don't go to the office. I haven't really been doing much for 3 months. And I kind of like, are you kidding me? So you guys have not taken that role. You've worked, you've created new ideas. But one of the things that I've been amazed at and thankful for is as difficult and as different as it is, we still see God working.
Yeah.
And I know that excites you. What are some of the things you see in families and in students as they are processing the COVID that now has almost been supplanted, but not, because we're still very limited in what we can do, to this relational or this racial thing? What excites you? What are some of the things that you see God doing? Jonathan, how about you?
It's just been really cool to see. One of the things, especially early on, and we've celebrated it a ton, is the way students and parents now relate so much more to each other because they're always around each other. Even more, they can't come to youth group and hang out with us as much. And so there's so much more relationship between the parents. Something that I've seen that really excites me for the growth is just even our relationship with parents. I know that's been just a struggle in the past, both when I grew up here, but also as a leader, and that is very contrary to what it is right now. And so it's awesome to see also students not take this time off. When it seemed like when their lives were very busy, they made excuses for maybe not getting into the Word and not showing up to youth group. But now their life isn't as busy, and they could just check out, play video games, sleep in. They don't really have school, at least not the same way they always did. But they are so much more engaged in what we're doing, and so much more invested in their relationship with God during this time, which is just so amazing to see.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's some great. Caleb, what are you seeing?
I've seen, I think a lot of it's I've seen come just from as we've been talking a lot with our graduates, and we've asked them, what advice would you give like your freshman self? And so many of them are sharing the importance of being connected, getting to know leaders, getting to know friends, not being isolated, not living alone. And I mean, high schoolers, naturally, they're digitally connected already. Like, they were ready for this. Yeah. But at the same time, we've come to see that they crave that connection. And so I'm just so excited to see. I think we're going to see re-engagement in, I think, in Bible studies and smaller group activities where we see the importance of having those people that we trust and that we want to be intentional with, and seeing God use that in the family unit, but also when they look at their peers and know what they want more than just those little surface level relationships that we have.
I was reading an article the other day, and he was identifying. So one of the things he identified is what businesses had projected would take 5 to 7 years in terms of decentralization of offices happened in 8 weeks.
We're there.
Yeah, it was just like fast. But on the reverse of that, what we long for is relational connection, because we realize, to be quite honest with you, no one gets discipled through technology.
True.
If that was the case, Jesus would have stayed in heaven and sent an email, right? He would have, but he came incarnate in the body. We need that. Have you seen almost kind of a value for personal conversation? Because you mentioned it.
Yeah, and I think, especially yesterday we had our first time where we've been together, and just the joy of I just get to be in the same room with each other. You can just see it and sense it, that where that need is being met and filling that gap. So
as we look to the future, we're gonna, some people want us to move really fast, and we get that regularly. Others want us to move really slow. So we're going to try and move wisely as we move forward. What are some of the things we got planned? One, let's start with you, Caleb, in terms of some of our seniors. I mean, this is not the way you wanted to graduate and transition, at all. But we're not going to say, we forgot you. What you got an idea for our seniors that really was cool. I love this idea.
Yeah, I'm excited. As we thought through ways of just how do we honor them? How do we know that they're, while they have a sense of loss, there's still the sense that they're ready to move on to what's next. And so right now we have a Baccalaureate Service plan for June 25th, and we do that every year, but we're going to make it look a little different. And one thing that I'm excited to kind of announce and bring you guys into is having an Adopt a Graduate kind of program where we would love to shower our seniors, our graduates, with cards, gifts, just letting them know that the church body that we identify with and support them as they navigate this time. And so simply just email me or the church, and we'll give a name, some senior names, however many you want. You send us a card, and then on that baccalaureate, we will give them, hopefully, a bag full of cards and just say we love you. And I hope to include, I mean, of course, I'm connected with all our Thrive graduates, but I'm hoping to include, any families that haven't been able to be a part of Thrive. We're going to include all our graduate, all our high school seniors the best we can. So I hope you guys join us in this effort.
So they can bless them with a card.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking I have a cat that I want to bless.
Sure, I'll bag it up and deliver
right?
it. Yeah.
That
I hear Josiah Powell.
God just answered my prayer. I am blessing 2 high school graduates with 2 cats. Hallelujah. God answers prayer. Jonathan, what's your future look like this summer? What are some of the things you got going? Some studies starting? What else is happening?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're kind of looking at right now is we're transitioning, like Caleb was saying, that the seniors, as they transition into college, and then our 8th graders transition into high school, for the next in the next couple weeks, we're going to have that transition really work well with having those leaders that are going to kind of take over the next kids coming into the ministry. They're going to go hang out with those kids, whether that's on a midweek, a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I know I'm going to be going on a hike with a bunch of 5th graders at the end of June. And then when we're looking at kind of the rest of the summer, like you've mentioned before, it doesn't seem like summer. It seems like fall for some reason. But in July and August, as things hopefully, and we kind of cross our fingers, they open up, we're looking at just being more intentional with the smaller groups. We're allowed 25. Whether that expands or not, we're allowed 25. And so doing things, going on hikes, maybe taking people to the beach, having people over for a barbecue at someone's house. And then also we usually take August off. And not that we've taken April and May off, but it's been very different. Like we kind of mentioned, we hadn't been together in person. And so we don't want to just be like, oh, we can be together in July. And then all of a sudden August comes and we're just like, okay, we're going to take a break like we usually have done. So we're thinking through creative events that we can do in August, not just our normal youth group night for Wednesdays, but doing specific events, whether that's going and doing some fun activity as things open up, like a family fun center or a Get Air, if those are safe for us to do, going on hikes, going on beach, doing a camping trip for a night or something as things open up, as we're allowed and as the law provides. So we're trying to get creative in how we expand the summer instead of taking an entire month off like we usually have.
That's good to hear. Yeah, that's helpful. Probably a question for a lot of high schoolers. H2O.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that at this point?
Well, I've prolonged making the hard decision as long as possible, just with hope that as conditions continue to change. But at this point, it's kind of reliant. Can we stay overnight? And that's kind of the main hinge of being out in the campground. So we're thinking through those things. But those dates that we've set in July, we're going to do something then. So save the date. If you're coming into high school, we're going to have the incoming freshmen invited. Our graduates will be invited to stay, so it should be just a great group of students. And if it's day trips or whatever, we're going to have a great time just being together. I have some friends coming in that are already agreed to give some to help deliver messages, and so just having that's going to be a very valuable time for us, I think.
So save the date. We're not sure fully what we're going to do.
Correct.
It feels like that's what we say every time.
I know,
Save
right?
the date. We're not sure what we're going to be able to do.
Yeah.
How can we support you guys? You guys, again, I just want to tell you, you're doing a phenomenal job. These are really challenging moments. They are. Every time I talk with somebody out there, they're I'm candidly concerned we're going to lose a lot, not on our staff, but a lot of pastors, because it's been a really, really hard season. How can we support you? I'm going to pray for you. We're going to encourage you. We're going to join the Bless a Senior. I've got 2 cats I'm going to give away. So how can we support you too?
Yeah, I'll go first. Probably the biggest way is just almost being patient with us. I know we're trying to get information out as much as possible and get it out quickly and efficiently and try to be really on top of our communication. And there are going to be times where we're human, we make mistakes. We're going to own our mistakes when we make them. But to also keep that line of communication open with parents. The last thing we need is for parents to be like, well, I didn't hear, so it's your fault. Like, we want them, like, if they didn't hear about something, if they want to talk to us about something, please have them talk to us. Like, please just come talk to us, give us a phone call, send us an email, whatever that is. We would love to do that rather than not know what we're doing, throwing out information, not getting any response. So that's probably the biggest thing, is when we send out stuff, is responding to us so we know kind of like, all right, are we getting anything? Like, it'd be one of those things, like if you think of an analogy, you're throwing out a fishing pole and you're like, all right, well, hopefully I get something. And parents, some of them are getting the information and then just taking it and running with it. And sometimes we just like, we don't even know if they're getting the information. And so just from time to time saying like, hey, we got it, thank you so much. Or, hey, we have some questions, whatever that may be. That's going to be the biggest thing, is keeping that communication.
Work with us in communication.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And we work hard on that.
Yeah.
And we want to encourage. Anything you want to add?
I mean, I think, like you said, with prayer, like I sense more now than ever just how important that is, and know that it's happening because I've felt it, and I appreciate that. I think for our parents, just working with us, but I mean, the whole church, just the need for us as a church to do youth ministry. It's not just us. I mean, we're a family church. Like, it involves everybody, and so as I get in this role, I'm just excited just to get to know our church better, and then. If you have a heart for that, like, we have places for people to be a part. If it's not, you can't be here on Tuesday nights hanging out with a high school or middle schooler because that freaks you out. But there's other ways that, I mean, just to join our team. And so we would love to see that.
So that leads me to, thanks guys for coming. Really appreciate it. Leads me to a couple of things just as we close today. Number one, we have been making some phone calls and loved that. But we feel like it's time to maybe kind of transition that. It's not that we want communication to stop, but actually community groups are going to get started and Bible studies are going to be started. And so rather than us try and keep overlapping on that, we're going to kind of cease our calling through the directory. Some of you may not have gotten a call because you weren't in the directory. We worked on that, tried to get it. So if you haven't had any phone call, call the office. I'll talk with you. Because I don't know that we haven't called you. So please let me know, because we want to do that. So that's going to stop after this round, which is this week. Secondly, is just an update. I've been down here a couple of nights and kind of, with the riots going on and the marches going on, wanted to kind of see what's happening in our church. And I would say good news. And all of these nights, we have not had any vandalism. We've had a lot of conversations with police officers, gotten to pray with some of them. They're phenomenal. They're high on my list. And we have seen people respect our building. And that's, I think, an answer to prayer. And we thank God that we haven't been replacing windows and we have a bunch of graffiti. So that has been really a positive thing. And yes, the curfew now is at 11 o'clock. So, but we not always have somebody down here, but I've been down here some. And so the church is in good shape and people have respected it. There was one time just number of people, probably a couple hundred at least, that were right out on Liberty and Union, paused. Probably some prayed, others didn't. But you know what? We got to interact and we got to have conversation, and that's a good thing. I think for a lot of us, this is a hard time. It's a confusing time. I sense a lot of anger. I sense a lot of not sure what to do. Some people love the protest, others hate it. I'm not here to give you an opinion on that. I'm here to encourage you in something that we talked about as a staff. When it comes to the issue of COVID, when it comes to the issue of race, one of the great things that I think we should be doing that I don't see as much of is learning to have conversation. We get afraid of each other. We don't know what everyone's opinion on the masks or on the whole COVID thing. Is it a conspiracy? Is it not? Is it to get rid of our president? And when you add race to that, it adds all kinds of tension. So we just encouraged our staff. Yesterday we were having a conversation about it. Number one, be aware of the real issues. And to do that, I think you need to have a conversation. I think you need to have conversation with people who are like you and people who are different than you. But to have that conversation, you have to give them some assurance that even if you disagree with me, I still want a relationship with you. And that's going to be really important. So we want to encourage you, engage. And then lastly is a verse, and it comes from Romans 12:21. It says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. I'm not saying the protests are evil. I'm not saying the race issue is evil. I'm saying don't be overcome by the emotion of all of the turmoil, but rather do good. To do that, I think you have to be a person that chooses not to live a natural life, a normal life. I've heard a lot of people say, well, this is the new normal. I'm going to start a series this weekend. It's called Don't Settle for Normal. I don't think normal is what you should settle for, and I don't think normal is what you should long for. But to get there, I want us to move through three kind of sections. Number one is, what do I do with the emotions and my frustration and my anger? Because a lot of people have it. The second movement is, what convictions do I need to have so I don't lose my mind? And the third thing is, what do I do to overcome evil with good? So that's going to start this weekend. I look forward to it. We're going to be in Psalm 74. Then we'll go to 77. Then we'll go to 88. So that gives you a little bit of look ahead. We're going to be wrestling with don't settle for normal. Look forward to seeing you this weekend and in the future face-to-face. Again, if you haven't received a phone call, give me a call. Give these guys a call. They'll talk with you. Sure. It's not we wanted to miss you. It's just maybe we didn't have you in our directory. So God bless you. Have a great day and be at peace with Christ and others.